Welcome to TylerMedeirosTV. For those of you that are new, make sure you subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss it when I upload. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the strangest last meal requests on death row. Now, for those of you who may not know what death row is, also known as condemned row, let me explain. In some states and countries around the world, they still have the death sentence in place, which means the judge allows the jury the option of a death penalty where the convicted criminal will be executed or an option of life in prison. Death row is the place in prison that houses inmates awaiting their execution date. Now, many places no longer have the death sentence in place, but many places still do. As of 2020, there is a total of 53 countries that still have the death penalty in effect, which can be death by hanging, shooting, lethal injection, beheading, or electrocution. There is also 25 states in the United States that still implement the death sentence to this day. Now, one thing that you may not know is that in many places a day or two before the execution of the inmate is granted a last meal. Now, there's places where they just give you the usual prison food, but in many places you're granted pretty much whatever you desire, of course, with some restrictions. The first person we're going to be talking about is a man named Gerald Lee Mitchell, born December 27, 1967 in Texas. On the date of June 4, 1986, two young men drove to Lincoln City Park in Houston in the hopes of purchasing some drugs. The two young men parked near the park, where they were approached by Gerald Lee Mitchell and his friend. After offering the two men in the car what they were looking for, Gerald and his friend then got into the car with the two men and instructed them to drive to a house not too far. When they got to the house, Gerald exited the vehicle and would quickly return, now with a sawed-off shotgun concealed in his track pants. Gerald would then instruct the two men to drive to a dead-end street. At that point, Gerald pulled out his sawed-off shotgun and demanded the young men give him the keys to the car and get into the trunk of the vehicle. The young men refused, and at that point, Gerald would make them walk to a nearby abandoned house. As they approached the house, Gerald was able to get the car keys from the two young men. He would then demand them to get into the abandoned home, where Gerald would proceed to rob them. Gerald's friend, who really hadn't taken part in the robbery so far, suggested they take their clothes and leave them at the house. Gerald then instructed his friend to go get some rope, in which the friend would leave and never return back to the house. At that point, the two young men were instructed to sit on the floor and put their hands up. Moments later, one of the men was shot in the chest, while the other bunched up into a ball, where moments later he would be shot as well, but not killed. Gerald wasn't aware that one of the young men was still alive due to him playing dead from his injuries. Gerald was seen leaving the house from the back door, where a man that was walking by and heard the shots caught his attention. Gerald would then say to the man, "You don't have to be scared of me. I'm just shooting at some birds." Gerald would then get into the car of the two young men and drive off. Gerald would later be arrested for the possession of the stolen vehicle. During the trial of Gerald Lee Mitchell, evidence would surface that Gerald had committed another murder only hours before he murdered the two young men. And the reason he committed the first murder is the man refused to give Gerald a necklace that he was wearing. Gerald Lee Mitchell would go on to be executed by lethal injection at the age of 33, after spending 16 years on death row. But before his execution, he was granted a last meal, which he requested a bag of Jolly Ranchers. Now I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments, and if you had to choose one last meal, what would your choice be? But I'm going to go ahead and close out today's video here. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, give it a nice big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. I want to thank you guys so much for all the love and support that you guys continuously give me. It means the world to me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.